Good evening. Welcome to Ghost Manor. Over the past decade, Ghost Manor has become known around the world for its innovative use of technology to delight audiences with a dazzling array of vignettes. A variety of ghosts, ghouls, and zombies haunt and sing and even dance over the dozen scenes that envelop the entire house and yard over the course of about 25 minutes. Ghost Manor is where ghosts go in their downtime, to unwind after a long night of haunting. It's a spooky speakeasy for ghosts, where they perform vaudevillian routines to entertain both themselves and over 8,000 human visitors each season. Within this overarching theme, there are many different sub-themes that take over the house, from a spooky Frankenstein laboratory, a zombies dance review, demons, skeletons, you name it. There's a lot that goes into the show, but in this video I'm going to focus on the digital content, which is at the very core of making these themes possible and is key to creating the magical realism for which Ghost Manor is known. I'm also going to focus specifically on a selection of scenes from the 2022 display. The content each year is cumulative, meaning that there are both new ghosts in attendance, as well as some old favorites that reappear each year with some new skills. Over the past decade, I've paved new ground for how to effectively create the ultimate realism using digital assets. So this video, I'm going to show you how I use what I've learned, developed, and created along the way. My work with Ghost Manor has culminated with creating and animating my own custom digital characters, which can have fully original, scripted roles in the display. Making the magic happen involves overcoming 3 challenges to make the best use of a digital display, and here they are. A challenge with digital projections is escaping the space confines, i.e. letting it roam. This is the 800-pound zombie gorilla in the room. In fact, the process of solving this issue more than 10 years ago was the genesis of what would eventually become Ghost Manor. Here's the challenge. Every ghost I've ever met can go straight through walls, no problem. So why would it stay in a single window? If you project a ghost into a single window and it stays in that window, I suppose you could explain it by saying the ghost chooses to stay there, or perhaps it's cursed to stay there or something. But it's much more realistic if the ghost is free to roam the place, free to be a ghost. And since ghosts can go through walls and projectors typically can't, you're better able to sell the illusion of a real ghost if it can travel across windows. Of course, you could try to solve it by projection mapping the whole house, but that approach has major issues with realism and believability, especially in person. So I decided to solve it in a different way. Solving this challenge inspired the scene that started it all, the original green ghost that still appears in the display today. I purchased a ghost video from an online vendor and then did keyframe editing in Final Cut to move the ghost out of frame and using precise timing into each successive window. As a result, the ghost starts in the far stage left window and moves across the house. It actually rounds the corner and appears in the side window briefly before moving back in the opposite direction. The first night I tested it, and before any other decorations were up, someone riding a bicycle past the house happened to notice it and he nearly wrecked. Thankfully, he was okay, but he looked like he had just seen a ghost, a real one. I knew I was onto something. I had sprung the ghost out of its single window trap, free now to roam around the house as it pleased. It was a happy ghost indeed. Now that the ghost was free from the confines of a single window, free to roam around and do ghost things, I moved on to the next challenge, how to make the digital content in the windows affect or be affected by the rest of the environment. This is a key part of realism, as things in the real world don't happen in isolation. What follows are a few scenes that appeared in 2022 that demonstrate how I handled this. The simplest example is the Wraiths Scene. There's a video from a well-known vendor that shows a bunch of green wraiths rising up. There's a lot of them, a seemingly endless procession. Clearly, something big is happening, but an event that big would be unlikely to only affect a window, or even multiple windows for that matter. The effects would be felt everywhere. So I coordinated a green lighting pattern on the railings, put fade chase sequences on the trees, and used moving lights inside the front parlor. It's a very dramatic effect in person because it's everywhere. While you see the wraiths in the windows, you can feel the ghostly energy all around. The use of coordinated lighting effects can greatly increase the visceral impact of a digital scene. The concept of digital content reaching out beyond the windows and touching the yard is most exemplified in the lightning ghost. I bought a video with a ghost that shoots lightning from his hands. What bugged me about it though is, what happens to the lightning? Clearly the lightning must go somewhere. It must affect its environment in some way. So I combined it with some stock electrical arc videos for the other windows to make the ghost shoot the lightning across the multiple windows. But it wasn't enough for the bolt to stop there. It would go past the house and hit the trees on each side of the yard. When the bolt hits the large oak tree, it strobes and a fog machine is triggered at the same time, releasing smoke to make it look like the tree is getting cooked. Finally, the last times the ghost hits the trees with lightning, it causes them to light up in a colored glow. It's as if the ghost kept trying a few times to ignite them until it finally succeeded. The lightning strikes get fairly close to the audience and often cause them to jump, surprised by the fact that a digital character far away is causing something to happen well across the yard and close to them. Another scene in which a digital character affects things in the yard is the fire witch scene. I created custom-created video content by compositing a silhouette of a woman dancing with a shawl superimposed over a burning bonfire. 61 jack-o'-lanterns in the yard then each light up individually in succession, starting near the witch and then spreading outward, as if the energy spell given off by her dance ritual is spreading out across the area, causing the pumpkins to light up slowly one by one. The control system for this was made just for this scene to accompany and support this video content. Most of the pumpkins are hung from shepherd's hooks, adding a three-dimensional aspect. When creating the video content, I was inspired by a scene from the movie Trick or Treat, and that movie scene was itself inspired by the original version of the movie Carrie, which involved a woman with telekinetic fire-starting powers. So now we move on to the second part of the Interactivity challenge. Several years after Ghost Manor started, I introduced some new characters, physical characters, into the display. State-of-the-art, custom-made animatronic skeletons that I designed and built myself. Now, the digital characters would take on an additional role. They would provide a supporting role to the physical characters, roles such as backup dancers, musicians, etc. This made Broadway-style scenes possible, with the animatronics the main cast and the digital characters the supporting ensemble. This allowed for some very complex scenes that maintained audience interest by adding more and more layers to the performance. Here are a couple of examples that ran in 2022. The next leap of progress happened when I realized that, even though I had become very good at video editing, the challenge was finding video content that would do what I needed it to. This came to the fore when I started working on a rendition of Thriller. The Thriller dance has become such a part of the zeitgeist, I needed dancing zombies. So I taught myself how to design and animate 3D digital computer characters, similar to how you would for an animated movie or video game. CG animation involves creating a character, then applying motion capture data, also called mocap, to the character to make it move. Fortunately, I was able to find some pre-existing mocap data for many of the individual dance moves in Thriller. I was then able to stitch together those moves into a choreography that I carefully synced to the music. Rendering my own characters also allowed me to do a pretty cool trick. I was able to seamlessly morph the zombies into skeletons while they were dancing, during the Darkness Falls section at the end of the song. I used a similar technique for Puttin on the Ritz, which is one of the scenes I'm most proud of. It also involved creating custom digital characters and animating them with motion capture data. The scene starts out with a tense laboratory environment, and the video sequence enhances this mood with lightning bolts that strobe throughout the display. This tension gets released with humor as soon as the music starts and the monster speaks, and it always draws laughter from the crowd. The theatrical version of this song has the monster and other cast members performing a tap dance routine. Since my animatronics building skills aren't quite yet at the level of making a physical tap dancing robot, I decided to make the Frankenstein animatronic have an out-of-body experience where he would tap dance in digital form in the upstairs window. Obviously, I wasn't going to find a digital tap dancing Frankenstein in a store, so I had to make my own. Fortunately, for the motion, I was able to find some tap dancing mocap data from a different program and convert and modify it in order to choreograph a routine. Finally, I created some digital dancing girls to join in on the routine, which usually results in roars from the crowd. Last season, I made a huge leap forward in the evolution of Ghost Manor. My goal for years has been to elevate digital characters to the same level as physical ones, to make them come alive, essentially to teach them to act and follow stage directions. I had come very close with Puttin on the Ritz and Thriller with the custom digital characters I created for those scenes, but I had ideas for scenes in which there was no pre-existing motion capture data I could repurpose. What I really wanted was to be able to capture movements myself, to help real living actors perform scenes and play those movements back onto the digital characters. By solving that piece of the puzzle, the digital characters would do anything and everything that could be dreamed up and scripted. That day came in 2022. I decided to tackle the song The Devil Went Down to Georgia. I considered doing a take on this song for several years, but it was an extreme technical challenge. For one, the animatronics would have to sing far faster and more precise than ever, and I had to upgrade all the jaws with very high-end servos. When bench testing the song, one of the jaws broke off entirely due to the stress, requiring me to upgrade the hinge mechanism as well. But it was the digital video content that would prove to be the most challenging. The lyrics of the song involve a clever take on the classic Faustian battle where the main character, Johnny, enters into a fiddle-playing contest with the devil in which Johnny bets his soul against the devil's golden fiddle. So I had to create the Johnny character, which I decided to make a skeleton wearing boots, overalls, and a cowboy hat, the demon, and both a regular and golden fiddle. Much of the song involves a call and response, with lyrical lines alternating with fiddle flourishes. The interesting thing about this is that the physical animatronic characters and the digital characters really carry equal weight here. The digital instrument musicians are every bit as important as the animatronic vocalists. When it's the devil's turn in the contest, there's a line in the song which says, "Then a band of demons joined in and it sounded something like this." What this sounds like for a haunter is an opportunity. I found some CG demon models which I was able to modify to my liking, but they needed instruments. It's always a challenge animating a CG character holding a prop, but it's especially difficult with characters like this with non-human proportions. The other challenge is that I wanted them to actually play in time with the music. The demons strum their instruments exactly in time. The chord progressions up and down the neck are plausible, and there's actual finger movement that I painstakingly created by hand. It's a lot of detail, but the audience picks up on it. It's like they're actually demons performing in the windows. Fun fact, I made all the demons left-handed because demons are in fact left-handed. The scientific term for left-handedness is sinistrality, which has the same etymological root as the word sinister. The demon band turned out so well, I now had a different challenge. Spoiler alert, Johnny ultimately wins the battle and gets the golden fiddle. But I didn't want Johnny's winning performance to be upstaged by the band of demons. So I added backup dancers, skeletons wearing boots and cowboy hats that performed their best country dance routine. For the record, and this might come as a surprise, the dancing is not actually me in the motion capture suit. It is pieced together choreography like in the earlier scenes. But every time you see fiddle playing or guitar playing, that's actually me wearing a motion capture suit. I recorded the performance of me playing, took the motion capture data, and applied that to the characters.
On the ground at Johnny's feet. Johnny said, "Devil, just come on back if you ever want to try again. I done told you once you sung it. I'm the best there's ever been." He played round about the run, Lord, run. Devil's in the house of the rising sun. Chicken in the bread, better pick it out, door. Ready to be a dog fight, no child, no.
Thank you for watching the video. I hope you're just as excited as I am about the potential of digital characters. Digital characters are much more than just decorations. They are full-fledged performers who can interact with their environment, with physical characters, and with each other. The best displays tell a story, and custom digital characters that perform on demand can do anything you can dream. I'm looking forward to making more magic, and a lot of special things are in store for 2023. If you happen to be in New Orleans in late October, please come check out Ghost Manor. Until then, happy haunting, and I'll see you soon.